Video game movies have always had a pretty bad rap, and for good reason. Most of them just aren't any good, many plagued with hilarious stories. For example, did you know that the stars who played Mario and Luigi in the horrifically bad Mario Brothers movie were often drunk throughout filming? I mean, considering how awful that movie was, is it any wonder that the filming was so horrific that the stars had to drink? So it goes without saying that anytime there were video game movies being released, they were met with a healthy amount of skepticism from gamers and moviegoers alike. There were a few video game movies that did enjoy some relative success, like the Tomb Raider and Resident Evil series, though those movies were almost completely detached from the games they were derived from. It wasn't until movies like Wreck-It Ralph and Angry Birds came along to help restore some goodwill that we were able to start moving towards good video game movies like the recent Detective Pikachu. Originally, I had no plans to see the Sonic movie because the games have a very, colorful and enigmatic following, and it's usually not a good idea to get wrapped up in their affairs. However, once they changed the look of Sonic from the disastrous initial version to the newer, more accurate version, and I started hearing some good things about it, I decided it'd be a good idea to go and at least see it. Also, I had free movie tickets just laying around waiting to be used, and there's nothing else playing right now worth a shit, so I had no excuse. Before we start getting into spoiler territory, I like to talk about whether a movie is worth seeing for people who don't want to be spoiled and want to go see the movie themselves to make their own judgments. As with a lot of things that are attached to a franchise, you generally have to ask yourself if you're a fan of said franchise. I grew up playing Sonic, though I'm largely removed from the series these days, and only occasionally play the games as a curiosity or if it's convenient. If you can answer maybe to the question, do I like Sonic the Hedgehog as a franchise enough to go see a movie that's only very loosely based on the games, then you might as well get it over with or wait to pirate it when people rip it off Blu-ray in a month or two. Alright, you've been warned. On to the spoilers.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening!
One of the things that really stuck out to me about the Sonic movie was that it had no real idea of where it wanted to start, basically assuming that you're aware of the series dynamic between Robotnik and Sonic on at least a basic level, which only really serves to alienate people from outside the series. Then it segs into an awkward CGI explanation of Sonic's background, how he's an alien living on an island with some majestic owl for a caretaker that has, so far as I'm aware, no real background in the Sonic series in general. They also throw the echidna into the movie in a haphazard manner, but never really do anything with them beyond using them as a catalyst to kick off the movie. I'm gonna be honest, the whole idea of mixing the game world with the real world has always been a pretty boring trope to me. If you're waiting for me to say, but, you'll be waiting a while, because the Sonic movie plays heavily on that tired trope. If you've had the chance to see Detective Pikachu, the Sonic movie is basically the same thing. Both titular characters have human buddies that accompany them on their adventures, except instead of an electric rodent, you have a midget furry Quicksilver. The only difference is that Detective Pikachu did a better job of selling you on the world than Sonic did, though only marginally so, since the movie thought it'd be funny to only show you the same 10 or 20 Pokemon to save on budget, and, well, that's a topic for another video. There's very little in this movie that should surprise you. It does nothing new or interesting and doesn't really try to, which is fine, but it makes for a super safe movie that doesn't quite live up to its full potential. Though there are a few moments that I can only best describe as surreal. For example, Sonic starting what's essentially a bar fight, which evolves into what's essentially a recreation of the I'm moving so fast that everything around me is completely still Quicksilver scenes from the X-Men movies, which admittedly are the best parts of those movies, so it should come as a surprise that Sonic's homage to it is the best part of his movie as well. Beyond that, the movie is just standard fare. The humans involved in the story are boring, and their acting isn't that great, though to be fair, the story itself is boring, so it's tough to tell if their acting is boring through osmosis or because they're D-list actors. Jim Carrey's acting as Dr. Robotnik feels like he basically took this job on a dare to prove to some buddies that he could still act like he did in the movies that launched his career, a la Ace Ventura. It doesn't feel like Dr. Robotnik at all, though to be fair, nothing about the Sonic movie really truly felt like Sonic at all, except on a very superficial level. So, honestly, I'm torn. The movie isn't bad, but it's not great either. It feels like the best way to approach this movie, if you like or know about Sonic in general, is to treat it in the same detached manner as the Resident Evil movie. It shares a title, it makes a few references here and there, and some of the people in it have recognizable names, but they are very much not the same as you'd remember it as a fan of the series in general. The after credits scene was a nice touch though, and it gives me some hope that they'll commit to a Sonic sequel that actually takes some risks and doesn't spend most of its time derivative of other movies. So there you have it, my thoughts on the Sonic movie. Watch at your own risk. Or just wait and watch it on Netflix or something. Anyway, if you like this sort of stuff, follow me on Twitter and let me know, or even better, subscribe here on YouTube. Thanks for watching.